I think this report is absolutely spot on. And it is very true that we see a lot of disparities in terms of women access to resources, to opportunities. That is in all sectors, but in particular in the agriculture and food. Because when you look at the way the population is organized in developing world, a lot of them are still involved and related and contributing to an economy that comes around the agriculture sector and the food sector. And that sector, no matter what happens, no matter despite all the challenges, climate change and all that, it's still a big sector because there is always consumption and there is always production. And I think the FAO, the Food Agriculture Organization, have, since the report they published in 2011, things haven't changed regarding how women, women are seen and how the numbers are in terms of their involvement in agriculture and in terms of closing the gender gap for development in the agriculture and the food sector. So let's go back and see why is it happening like this and why. So what I would like to really walk you through is what are the hurdles? Why do we see such a big and large gap of the different in the roles that women are playing in the rural areas of the developing countries? And this is based on really empirical evidence that this gap they face is still very wide, both in agriculture and in rural employment and in the food sector. Some of the, leading the main points and some of the main reasons why we see the gap is that women in general, they operate smaller farms on average, only half to two-thirds as large. So it's like much smaller. And they keep also fewer livestock. Typically, they have small breeds and they earn less from this livestock. And they also have greater workload in terms of heavy burdens and low productivity activities, like they go fetch water, they firewood, and you see them carrying lots of weight. And this is still happening when you go to the rural areas. You can still see them. You can still go and watch and look at how women are actually working so hard on the field, carrying and doing activities that they don't get even paid for, because these are really burdens and heavy activities they still do, or they have low productivity. They also have less education. And when they have less education, they obviously have less access to agriculture information and to all the services that are around agriculture. So they lack the understanding on how to improve the productivity, on how to bring some new ways of raising the return on whatever they produce on their farm. And that puts them really behind in terms of all the advances that have been done today in the agricultural sector. And also, so that's from the agricultural productivity side. But you have also, they have less credit and less access to financial services. Yes, because you lack access to education. They also lack access to financial services. I mean, things have changed, and I think we need to really salute all the advances that have been done through many countries, helping women getting more access to financial services and also to credit, which is really improving, and a lot of helps are being provided for that. But the gap, as shown in the report, is still there. They are also much likely to purchase all the inputs, which are fertilizers, improved seeds, mechanical equipment, and this comes down to really the access to information and the access to education. And so these elements show that there are many components where we see the gap happening. We see that, that gender equality urgency, if you will, in order to have more women involved in the agriculture and the food sector. And, I think finally what I wanted to say about this list is that we see that they receive lower wages for the same work they do. And this is still happening in some of the countries, and as has been really illustrated in their report. So these are some of the reasons that, show you how this gap is still wide. and that, many things are being done. And that's why the empowerment of women is extremely important to be able to help them bridge that gap and to reach gender equality. I mean, all these challenges, I think it's not only for, it's for Morocco and for all the other countries also in the region. And this is why, this is the moment where I would like to also mention the book that you mentioned, because that's what I wrote in the book, is the African girl and African women, how agile, empowered, and tech-savvy females will transform the continent, and will transform the continent for good. And to be able to do that, there are some basics that you have to really make sure that they are there, which are the foundation to be able to empower women, so that not only they see the opportunities, and they embrace the opportunities, but when they are in the job, they excel in it. They thrive to it. They improve their income. And when they improve their income, they reinvest that. And that's what has been proven, is that women reinvest 90% of the income that she brings in education and in health and in improving the well-being of her family, compared to 40% for men. So, putting all this together, there are so many initiatives, so many actions being taken today by different countries, as I have really studied and put together in the book, in Africa, helping women to have to bridge that gap, to reduce that existing gap, so that they can also have access to, in agriculture, as we're talking about the agriculture sector, they have access to advanced technologies. They have access to drip irrigation, to solar pumping, all those new technologies that help them have a higher productivity on the farm, and also in the and on other aspects of the agriculture production chain. And so more they are educated, more they have access to the information, more they are able to integrate that to be, and to also create a better life for themselves, become financially autonomous, and also better educate their children. All of them are so important, all of them. If we want, and I always say that, how we talk now about all the sustainable development goals, and, that have different aspects to them. And one of them is access to land and access to food. But the main one, but the SDG 5, which is gender equality, to me, it crosses all of them, really all of them. So for you to improve the gap, for them to, or to change, or for anyone to work on improving the presence of women in the agriculture and food sector, we need to create a nurturing environment. That nurturing environment give them, it's almost you hold their hand and say, okay, you can be trained, you can be educated, you can feel safe in that nurturing environment, because whatever you're lacking, you can find. You can go back and be, trained for something you don't know. You can have access to information and knowledge. Finding ways to, sometimes women, they don't even know things exist, which is different now because the world has gone digital, right? So it's really just accessibility, and becoming tech savvy will make a huge difference. Because by accessing information, through a click, they can understand that there are opportunities about access to credit and finance, about access to new mechanics, new schemes. We have a lot of, to improve agriculture. Agriculture is a sector that I have always been studying and looking into it since I did my PhD at Harvard, because when I did my PhD, I worked on water and the allocation of water among sectors and how it contributes to the national planning. And one of the most the biggest consumer of water is really the agriculture sector, when you have countries that are heavily relying on agriculture, and when the economy is relying on agriculture. And so, since many years now, I think I'll tell you this, 2 decades. I did my thesis in the 90s, and it was how to optimize the use of water in agriculture. And that meant having the drip irrigation, using techniques that helps you optimize that. And these type of techniques, women can have access to them through training, through information, through knowledge. So it's really the first step is to have that nurturing environment where they feel they can go back to a place and be be taught how to do things, be understood how the sector is. And, so for example, men, they gather and they share information and they do association and everything. So the same thing for women. They can create those collective intelligence and groups and share the different information, the different new techniques and new advances to help them improve the productivity on the farm. So that's regarding the techniques, regarding the system, the fertilizers, all the things they need to do to improve, to optimize the production. And then the same thing goes with access to financial services and to credit. And banks are helping. Banks are doing so much now. A lot of products are provided for women or for a new entrepreneur or for new ideas or for cooperative that are, for example, here in Morocco, we have a lot of production of argan oil, all those products that are based on naturally based, and all those cooperative, they've been organized in cooperative, and the fact that they're organized in associations, they were able to get a lot of sponsoring, a lot of funding to be able to improve their product, to be able to improve their production. And it's not just improving the production that matters today, it's actually having the accessibility to the consumer. So they need to be able to sell their product to the consumer. And this is where the setting up digital platforms and setting up being, linked to structures that take products and sell that. I mean, I say that because I have a really concrete example. One of my clients, I help women create wealth and make an impact as part of the BAL method, which is the method I created to help them become great leaders by creating wealth and making an impact. And one of the clients that I had was what she did was developing a platform, a digital platform, where she goes to this women, all those products that are produced from, agriculture products, food products, and help them sell their product online. So the woman from a faraway rural area, she now has access to billions of people through a click, and then her product can be sold outside. And that's because she would have never been able to do that on her own. That's because she doesn't have that knowledge, she doesn't have that accessibility. And that's why more of these ideas will be able to connect these rural employment and rural product and agriculture production and food production into the larger consuming sphere. And when they do that, then they can improve, they can grow, they can, be more sophisticated. See. So it's really what I said, it's really three things. One is the knowledge about everything around agriculture, optimization, water, fertilizers, products, all of that. Second is accessibility to all those facilities, either access to drip irrigation, water, solar pumping, and accessibility to finance. And the third one is technology, is to be integrated in that digital world that will help them reach the consumer. I just love my time at the World Bank. I love that. I started the World Bank in '96, and I spent 8 years in Washington. And what I loved about it is that I was working in really remote areas because I wanted to see on the ground what development meant. So I was in Southeast Asia, and my first director was Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. You know her. She's today the managing director of Yemen. She was my boss, actually. She was my first boss, and she was my mentor. And she's such an amazing woman, right? She was the director of Southeast Asia at that time, and so she was covering Laos, Thailand, and Cambodia, and Myanmar and Cambodia. And I remember I was working on project on poverty in Laos, how a strategy to reduce poverty in Laos. And I think that those projects that I was working on have just changed me forever, because when you go to a remote area, Vientiane, I remember it was just a city that has only one road. That's it. All the rest is nothing. And then we go to a farm and you see people smiling and happy just because they have a new access to water, or they have a new access to something that gives them a hope and possibilities. There is nothing that compares to seeing on the ground all those initiatives and all those projects and how they make a difference in someone's life. And that's why, all those projects, when they are directly to creating, cooperatives, or creating or impacting and seeing a difference, that was incredible. I had the same experience also in Morocco, in an area where, was this large project to generate water and access to electricity everywhere. And going there and seeing in the villages how children are happy and women are happy. That's woman empowerment. That's giving, what's woman empowerment, doctor? Woman empowerment is to give every woman the permission to herself, to own her day, to own her work, and to feel that she's on top of it. And so when she lacks all these resources, how can she feel empowered? How can she feel that she's on top of her day? How, when she's lacking the basics? And that's why, access to the basic is still so fundamental. And during the pandemic, we've seen so much still need to be done in terms of access to education, access to health, access to basic services, and access to all what we talked about: knowledge, financial possibilities, and technology, to make them feel that they're playing a role in the economy, that they too can be financially autonomous, and they too can help their children have a dream and believe in possibilities and have hope and faith that they can make it happen. See, absolutely. Technology is the way to do it, because today they have access to it. Everyone has access. The world is linked. 2 billion people are connected through this. And if someone in the area is just able to use this technology and teach the others, and we see more of that. I see a lot of associations and foundations are creating iPads that don't even need to be on Wi-Fi. They can just be and have books in them, helping, access to the basics. And so that these girls can, have the basics, place to read, to learn, to know what's happening around them. Everyone knows what's going on in the world. Everything is connected. Everybody have YouTube. And you see them, they access YouTube, they don't know how to read. And the thing is that to find a new way of creating a school that is easier to access, is easier to generate, and to be able to integrate. All these girls are not out of school. And this starts with the mother, because if you educate the mother, if you empower the mother, if you train the mother with the basics, she will then be encouraging, motivating the girls to go to school, to learn, to know that they can have the future they want, to know that they can have a dream and believe in it and make it happen. And that's why today, I spent 20 years after my PhD from Harvard. I spent 20 years working on finance, strategy, and development. And today I am on a mission to empower 1 billion girls and women to grow confident, resilient, tech-savvy, and financially free. And so that's why I created the BAL method, the Believe and Act and Lead. I founded that and created this method that helps women become leaders, become inspiring leaders, help empowering women so that they can be empowering other women. So through the ripple effect, we can make a huge difference, because sometimes it just takes changing a mindset. And the method is in 3 phases. The first phase is to believe in themselves, believe in their possibilities, believe in a better future, believe in their credentials, in the way that, they too can be entrepreneur, can be can create wealth, can make an impact, and then act on it by, providing the basics in terms of, business plan, being a CEO of their company, of their life, branding, know how to speak, raising confidence, believing in letting go of all those constraints from the past and all those cultures and traditions that are pulling them down, and freeing themselves to really act on, through their knowledge, selling values, selling an offer, selling a product. And the third phase is to lead through that by harnessing their leadership skills, by understanding that they have a role to play and know that they are here, and each woman is so unique and so special and so perfect. And when she's aligned with her real values and what she loves to give, she can become an amazing leader. So I impact women tremendously, and we've already taught this to 150. We're going to be reaching 500 this year. And so my objective is to reach 10,000 women, teaching them how to become a great leader, how to create wealth, create success, and make an impact around them and in their family and in the world. You touched exactly what is in my heart, because this is the very reason why I'm doing this. I'm a specialist of sustainable development. So really all what I did at the World Bank when I was in the private sector, in the public sector, is really setting up portfolios and strategies for sustainable development. And today, since 2 years ago, I'm completely dedicated to women empowerment, to improving the situation of women, and to creating women leaders and great leaders. Because the difference between being a leader and being a great leader is not only you have excellence, but in addition to that, you have that love to help, love to impact, love to give back. And to me, women empowerment is at the root of gender equality. And gender equality is the foundation of what sustainable development is. Everything comes back to where is women in the equation. There is no initiative, no action, no strategy that makes sense today if you don't have the gender equality in it. If you don't have either a quota, or what you have done to involve more women, or what you have done to get them feel that they have access to jobs. There are millions of jobs being created in the tech industry. Just as an example, 100 millions of jobs. Do we have enough women educated going to that sector to be able to also take this opportunity and grab it? That's just one example. If you don't encourage more girls going to STEM and more girls going to science and technology, and make it just so fashionable and so normal and so amazing, that they also are part of this huge train that is going. So I see it, and I see how, if you do not work on empowering women, even if you bring quotas, and women are not ready to excel in the role, to be productive, to be confident that she deserves that role, she can operate and she can brilliant in it, she can be brilliant, they will be like, oh, we tried, but it didn't work. And we don't want that, as we tried more women here, but it didn't work. That's why we need to prepare the women, prepare them so that they are ready, so that they can take on those big positions. And we've seen so many of them. There are, women presidents now of states, women prime ministers, women in the parliament, women ministers, women heads of large institutions. We haven't seen this before. Citibank has a CEO woman. The largest tech companies are CEO women. YouTube is a CEO woman. All those amazing women are role models showing that you can. And the whole thing is to prepare women to feel confident, to change their mindset, to have them let go of what's holding her. Because frankly, when we come from, cultures where, you're considered a girl, and you know that you're a girl, and, you know that, and you don't talk too much because you're a girl, and So that kind of block us. So it's to let go of this invisible constraints and to start believing in themselves again. I wrote this book during COVID, and I too was going through a tough situation in my professional life. And I'm like, I need to reposition myself, recreate myself. And so I said, let me, and I remember it was a tumultuous day, and I home and I looked at my girls. I have a boy and 3 girls. And I'm like, for my girls, I want to power up. For my girls, I re want to give them something so that they know that nothing is easy, but don't you ever give up. And that's why you can see that this book is dedicated to every girl in the world. And I wrote it there. It's for my daughters, my nieces, and for all the African girls who on dark nights look up at the sky, gaze at the bright stars, and make a wish. And so this is, for me, is a roadmap to every young girl and every young woman, showing her that everything is possible. And even if you fail, if you don't get that school you wanted to, if you don't get that grade you wanted to, if somebody didn't tell you what you wanted to hear and wasn't nice to you, don't you ever give up, because you are brilliant as you are and you are amazing. So the book takes you through, how, numbers are showing that we're doing great. We're doing much better. Some countries are taking the lead in Africa, places like Rwanda, places like Kenya, creating startups, creating access to technology, amazing advances. And then I talk about how Africa's women, a lot of them are launching startups today. Some of them have unicorns, which is a unicorn is $1 billion company. And yes, they exist. Yes, there are. And then I go back to history to take you back to say that it has never been easy. Women in technology, women in science. Women didn't even have access to schools before. They were hiding to get the books. They were hiding to write about some advances, but yet they had Nobel Prizes. Even we talk about sustainable development. The first woman who talked about it is actually it's a woman. It's a racial. The Silent Spring. I don't know if you know about this, Dr. Hiti. It's that book that's awaken everyone about what industries are doing to the pollution, and they are threatening the future generation. It's actually women. So the book discovers so many amazing discoveries that women have done, and we don't even know about it. And so then after that, I speak about startup and about how women are, advanced in Silicon Valley, the largest institutions today and largest organization corporations, they had it. They are in president. They are in large roles, playing amazing leadership roles. And chapter 5 and 6 is really, what are the tools to be able to transform the continent? What is it that will help us? So I talk about education. I talk about being nice with each other, being a nice woman, being that woman that empowers other women, letting go of the glass ceiling, just letting go of things that sometime if you fail in something, it's okay. Fail fast and stand back up, and be genuinely loving. Find the love inside you. Love the others, because more you give that, more you find that, more you'll feel good, and more you will be giving back, and more you will grow, and more you will reach success. Because leaders, they don't ask others to follow them. Others wants to follow them because they pave the way, because they make them feel good, because they make them feel inspired, because they see the value in each one. And that's what it is about. So it's really bringing back that humanness in us, humanness by letting go, by forgiving, by advancing, by creating something new. And finally is, talk about some of the programs that are done, in STEM, because to me it's so important to not only have access to finance, understand finance, but also become tech savvy. Tech savvy is not scary. Everybody can be tech savvy today. Everything is so user friendly. And if you don't have the understanding and and the of technology. How can you be part of the digital world? And the world has gone completely digital. Yeah. So that's the book. It's a beautiful book. Very nice. You can, I have my story weaved through it, but it's really a story of many amazing women. And I want to say to, every woman, and this is a summit about women and entrepreneurship, that, be an entrepreneur, to create a business. It's not easy. There is hard work, but it's not about working forever or just working differently, because you can believe in your success. You can believe that you too can make incredible success. You have it in you. And so for every woman to be an entrepreneur, to create her dream life, and to make an impact, and to always keep the love in her heart to give back, because more you give, more you share, more you focus on the excellence of the value you provide and the offer and the service, more you can enjoy abundance, you can enjoy wealth, and you can enjoy success.